So Jesus' teaching today was so difficult the disciples had problems with it. For me, though, this is the teaching. This is the teaching that separates Lutherans from other denominations. And not exclusively, but for example, if I said to you Baptist, you have this understanding of a Baptist in your head. And what you understand, if you don't understand anything else, is that they baptize. Right? They're Baptists, that's what they do, they baptize. So we should almost call ourselves, I don't know, cannibals or something like this. Because Jesus said, eat my flesh. He said, drink my blood. And the disciples said, oh, I don't know about that one. But Jesus said, if you want to have salvation, this is what you do. So this is what we do. This is what our understanding is as Lutherans. This is the essence of what it is to be a Lutheran. In fact, I love communion so much, I almost question whether I should even have notes for my sermon because I wanted to make it a test for myself. I should be able to do this off the cuff. Right? This is just something that just spills out of me. Communion is so amazing and so powerful. And I wanted to think, well, what is the thing? You know, what is the thing that I could bring to you to help you understand this Lutheran understanding? And the first thing I can bring to you is it's not a Lutheran understanding. It is something that is handed on to us from the disciples. It is something that the Greek Orthodox believe. It is something that the Roman Catholic Church believes. It's something that the Lutheran Church believes. And then to varying degrees, other Protestant denominations, which means the overwhelming majority of Christians hold this understanding, this kind of cannibalistic idea. So then what is it? What is this communion thing that Jesus is talking about? And it's this beautiful idea, and this is where I think the Lutherans really get our jump. Because if I were to tell you, if I were to give you like the little 30-second spiel, like going up an elevator, what is a Lutheran? If I said to you, oh, it's because we eat the body and the blood of Jesus, that would have no meaning for you. You might even get scared. You would kind of be weirded out, like, well, what are you eating people for? No, what's going on is so often as humans, when we define things, we define it in the negative. When we have laws, we have in the negative. You all know the speed limits to every road around here. And what is a speed limit? It's a law that's been posted to tell you, no. Don't go over 35 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour, or whatever it is you're not allowed to go over. In my neighborhood, it's 15. And my son yells at all the cars just like I do when they come driving by. I'm getting some fingers. Some of your spouses are throwing you under the bus. Okay, but we do this. This is what our laws. Think about all the laws. Just think about any law that you can think of, and probably it's a prohibition. It's a thing that says you can't. And when we think about God, we tend to fall into that same kind of thing. God has laws, and when we think about God, we put him into this category about no, you can't. And then just like speeding, we think, well, if you can't, then you get a ticket. And if you get a ticket, then, okay, bad demerit, or you don't get any brownie points, and now, no heaven for you, right? That's what we think of. But that's exactly where the Lutherans diverge, because so often, especially with our brothers and sisters in other denominations, it's about what you can't do. You can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. A Christian doesn't do this, a Christian doesn't do this. And then we end up in this situation where we have to pretend like we didn't do those things and lie to everybody so they don't see us. One of my favorite jokes that I love to tell to every Baptist preacher I've ever come across, and I'll tell it to you now, some of you know because it's an old and it's a tired joke, but I love it. What's the difference between a Lutheran and a Baptist? Lutherans will say hello to you in the liquor store. All right, you have to hear. That's in so much love. I feel like I should tell you the story of I'm waiting in line, and it's after Christmas but before New Year's, so you know what that means. I have my hands full with enough liquor to kill a human easily. And I'm sitting in line with, I've got like at least a bourbon and a vodka, and somebody goes, "Hey, Pastor!" Okay, so obviously there are different lines for different denominations. So what's our line? Well, here's our line. The first is you have to grab onto this one and know this one. There are lines. God does have lines. He says, look, this is the best way. If you do it like this, it's going to go well for you. If you don't do it like this, we call that a sin. And the reason that that's a problem isn't because you're going to get a ticket. No, 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 no. It's because you made the wrong decision, and now you have to live with that decision. And that decision, that sin, is going to inflict upon you less abilities to do things. You're going to have to do or be forced to do things because of the bad decisions that you made, the sin that you did. It's not God saying, I've got you now. It's us following the wrong thing. And then what happens when we're in our sin is it separates us, it controls us, it pulls us away from God, and soon enough, we're in our own little world. And so the Lutheran understanding is very clear. It doesn't say don't do those things, because it says don't do those things, and when you do, admit it. Bring it to God. Tell God you did those things so that at least you can be aware that those are the things that you're doing. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and over, somebody said once that that's the very definition of stupidity. You got to change. You got to know. And to know, you have to confess. And when you confess, you can be forgiven, which is what happens at this altar. That's what Jesus was trying to tell us. He said, look, you're gonna have this thing, bread, which is everywhere. And you're going to have this stuff, wine, which is everywhere. And when you get together, and you should, take this bread, take this wine, and I will make it my flesh, and I will make it my blood. And when you do that, something amazing is going to happen. Because if you sin, and you say that you don't sin, then you get further and further away from the cross. But if you say, oh, I did sin, I need Jesus, I need to come back, then you get him. Which is exactly what we do. We're going to do it here. You're going to get up out of your chairs, you're going to come up here, and I and some other people are going to stand up here, and you're going to say, I need me some Jesus. And you know what happens when you hold out your hand asking for that Jesus? You get him. Have you ever wondered if you have salvation? Has anybody ever come up to you and said, are you saved? Yeah, are you saved? I'll give you proof today. I'll put it in your hand. And every time you want that proof, it'll go back in your hand. And every time you need to know that you are loved by God and forgiven, it'll be in your hand. You won't have to ask me. You could show. You can say, yes, I need Jesus. I need him so much, I come every week. Now, our brothers and sisters in other denominations like to make these public professions about their faith, and they go and they get wet in front of everybody. It's a beautiful thing. It's called a baptism. It's a wonderful expression of faith. We don't need to do that. Not that we don't need to be baptized, but for the most of us, we have already been baptized when we were little ones. And if you haven't been baptized, come talk to me. Being baptized as an adult is the most beautiful thing God does in a person's life. But we don't need to get wet every Sunday. That would be ridiculous. Could you imagine? You put on your swimming trunks, somebody asks you where you're going. I'm going to church. What kind of church do you go to? Well, it's in the Eagle Harbor pool. That's what would have to happen if we got baptized every week to confirm that we still need and want Jesus. But we don't have to do that. I don't have to have mountains and vats of oil as people come up and I anoint their head every Sunday to remind them that they're an anointed child of God. No, in fact, we have something better. God comes to us in the bread, which is then the body, and the wine turned to blood. And we eat and we drink of our Savior. Every week, you have proof of your salvation. Every week, you have to make another commitment to come back up. Every week, you have to say, I need me some Jesus. And then every week, you get you some Jesus. Because it's not about what you do or don't do. It's not about how good you've been, because the reality is you haven't been good enough. Jesus says, if you even look at a woman with lust in your heart, you have committed adultery. Just looking makes you a sinner. Because it's not about just your actions, it's about your thoughts as well. Wait, there's more. It's not only what you did or thought, it's what you didn't do or you should have done that you didn't do. Which means the bar is so high, y'all, that our God is that good that He gets us over that bar. He doesn't lower it. He doesn't say, oh no, the bar's down there, you can step over it. He says, you didn't get over it, but I still love you. Get over it. It's not about what you do, it's about what God does. Because no matter what you do, there's grace for that.